you all for our session on NAC SSR criteria-wise e-documentation for autonomous colleges. So here I have prepared this presentation based on autonomous college manual. So even non-autonomous college also almost 90% is same. Only some weightages are changed, but majority of the content is same for autonomous, affiliated or constituent UG or PG colleges. So here, based on the latest manual, revision was taken on April 2021 for autonomous colleges. So here I have prepared this presentation. Okay, before moving to our actual criteria wise, just 2 to 3 slides, introduction about the NAC assessment process, whoever may not aware or whoever new. So the assessment process will be carried out in 3 stages. First one is self-study report, abbreviated as SSR. The second one, student satisfaction survey. The third one, peer team report. So the entire of NAC assessment process can be based on these 3 parts. So self-study report, so whatever we are going to explain now. So as per the criteria, all criteria. So in that, one of the component, student satisfaction survey, which is part of one particular criteria, but that can be evaluated separately. Then a peer team report, this can be done during on-site visit conducted by NAC peer team. Okay, now the self-study report has a total of 115 metrics for universities, then 107 autonomous colleges, and whereas 93 and 96 metrics for UG and PG affiliated or constituent colleges respectively. So 93 metrics for UG colleges, 96 for PG colleges. So these are all the distribution of matrices as per self-study report. So now the self-study report has 2 kinds of matrices. So one is called as quantitative matrix, named as Q suffix n m. Now wherever Q n m means, that is quantitative metric. Another one is called as qualitative matrix, that can be named as Q suffix l m or sometimes Q suffix 1 m. So in the SSR, so all these 2 types of matrices are discriminated with this nomenclature. So now what is quantitative, what is qualitative? So those requiring quantifiable facts and figures as data, which have been indicated as quantitative. Quantitative means like statistical. So tabular data. So like countable measures, quantities. So whereas the another one, qualitative, the metrics requiring descriptive response. Description, like whenever you are writing answers to a particular question, write answer with 200 words, 500 words, like this. That is descriptive. Whereas quantitative means like tabular statistical data. So accordingly, the matrices are divided into 2 categories: quantitative metric and qualitative metric. Okay, now SSR comprises both qualitative and quantitative metrics. That the distribution of marks among these 2 types of matrices. The quantitative metrics up to 75% weightage, and the remaining 30% are about qualitative metrics. So then how these 2 can be evaluated? The data submitted on quantitative metrics will be subjected to the validation exercise with the help of data validation and verification process, DVV. So this can be done by NAC. All the 70% weightage matrices related to quantitative metrics are evaluated by data validation and verification, that is DVV, through NAC. So then other 30% of metrics related to qualitative metrics will be reviewed by the peer team on-site inspection only after the institution clears the pre-qualified stage. The pre-qualified stage means that the quantitative metrics during DVV, that is data validation and verification. So minimum 21% is required for clearing the pre-qualification stage. Once pre-qualification stage is completed, so then you will get confirmation through in our login of your portal and you will get a confirmation mail also. Based on that, they will ask to provide visit dates. So for qualitative metrics reviewed by the peer team on-site visit. It depends on college and the number of programs. Minimum 2 days, maximum 3 days on-site visit will be taken place. Then finally, the third stage is called as student satisfaction survey. So this is purely the survey based on students' responses. So how this will be done? So this will be conducted simultaneously with the DVV process. Once you submitted your SSR, after SSR submission, immediately within 1 week, DVV process begins. Along with DVV, the student satisfaction survey also conducted simultaneously. So higher education institutions have to strictly upload data of at least 50% of currently enrolled students as per the data template format of Excel sheet given in the portal. So 50% of currently enrolled students mean not only first year, currently studying students first year to final year. So you can upload the data as per the template given in the portal. Then the student satisfaction survey questionnaire consisting of 20 objective questions, 1 subjective question. Subjective means descriptive. So will be emailed to all the students. So whenever you are uploading student data along with email ID, phone numbers also there, they will send to randomly selected students mails. So along with the feedback link. So then the following rule will be applied for processing the response. For colleges, UG, PG, autonomous, all 3 types of colleges, responses should be received from at least 10% of the student population or 100, whichever lesser. So whatever the student data you uploaded, so 10% of the student population or 100, whichever lesser. So then for universities, 10% of the student population or 500, whichever lesser. So these percentage or these number of students responses should be submitted. That is the minimum qualifying factor. So if the response rate is lower than the limits mentioned by the NAAC, the metric will not be taken up for evaluation. For affiliated colleges, the weightage for student satisfaction survey is 60. Then for autonomous universities, the weightage is 50. So separately evaluated based on the student response. Okay, now institutional grades and status. So nowadays, if you want to go for autonomous, our minimum criteria, we have to secure minimum NAAC A grade, or if it is technical colleges. So for a National Board of Accreditation, NBA accreditation, at least 3 UG programs with a minimum 675 score out of 1000 for technical colleges. For other than technical colleges, NBA not applicable, then they have to compulsory stick on to NAAC with minimum A grade to secure, to apply for autonomous status. So these are all the grades. So minimum 3 point, the CGPA, according to the cumulative grade point average of all the 7 criteria out of 1000 points. So the CGPA on 4-point scale between 3.01 to 3.25, then the institution accredited with A grade, then 3.26 to 3.50 A plus, then 3.5 to 4 A double plus. This is the highest grade. So then less 3.25, less than 3.01. So that is 2.76 to 3 B double plus, then 2.51 to 2.75 B plus, so and so on. So if you will secure the CGPA as less than 1.51, so then not accredited. So minimum C grade, then maximum A double plus grade. So these are all the institutional grades and accreditation status as per the latest revised guidelines. Okay, now coming to as per revised accreditation framework from June 2017 onwards, the NAAC process was made online. Before that, it was offline. So at that time, we have to prepare our self-study report and we have to submit through hard copies via courier or post to the NAAC office. So then after receiving the documentation, the NAAC peer team will visit the campus and will evaluate all the 7 metrics. At that time, there was no discrimination like qualitative and quantitative metrics. Now from June 2017 onwards, so the pattern was changed. They made everything as online. So as for the revised accreditation framework, so the criteria are same, but the matrices are changed. So there are 7 criteria. Here, the weightages, whatever I have taken here, these are all for autonomous colleges. For other affiliated UGPG universities, some variations are there, but criteria names are same for all. So criteria 1 called as curricular aspect, total weightage 150. Then criteria 2, teaching, learning and evaluation, the weightage is 300. Then criteria 3, research, innovations and extension, the weightage is 150. Then criterion 4, infrastructure and learning resources, weightage is 100. Then criteria 5, student support and progression, weightage is 100. Then criteria 6, governance, leadership and management, weightage is 100. Then criteria 7, institutional values and best practices, weightage is 100. Now you can add all these weightages, the total score is 1000. Okay, now whatever the scores given here, the scores are distributed among the 2 types of matrices like qualitative and quantitative. So now let us see criteria wise the statistical count, how many quantitative metrics are there and what is their weightage, and how many qualitative metrics are there and what is that weightage. So this table shows so distribution of the matrices across criteria. So criteria 1, curricular aspects, total weightage 150. So out of 150, 120 marks for quantitative metrics, then 30 marks for qualitative metrics. Then total quantitative matrices for criteria 1 are 9. Then qualitative metrics are 2. So whatever the qualitative metrics, these are all evaluated during on-site visit by NAAC peer team. Then all quantitative metrics are evaluated through data validation and verification, DVV process, that is online mode. So this is the criteria 1 distribution and their weightages according to quantitative and qualitative. Then criteria 2, total 11 quantitative metrics with weightage 200. Then 7 qualitative metrics with weightage 100. Total 200 plus 100, 300. Then criteria 3, research, innovations and extension, 150 is the total weightage. So then total quantitative metrics here, see 20 quantitative metrics are there with weightage 129. There are only 3 qualitative metrics with weightage 21. Then criteria 4, infrastructure and learning resources with 100 overall weightage. So 9 quantitative metrics with 67 weightage. Then 5 qualitative metrics with 33 weightage. Then criteria 5, student support and progression with 100 total weightage. So 11 quantitative metrics with 85 weightage. Then 2 qualitative metrics with 15 weightage. Then criteria 6, governance, leadership and management, overall weightage is 100. Then 6 quantitative metrics with 50 weightage, 9 qualitative metrics with 50 weightage. Then criteria 7, institutional values and best practices, overall weightage is 100. So 6 quantitative metrics with 27 weightage. Then 7 qualitative metrics with 73 weightage. Now if you can take the sum of qualitative and quantitative, so total quantitative metrics together, all the 7 criteria, 72 quantitative metrics with 678 weightage. Then for qualitative matrices according all 7 criteria, 35 qualitative metrics with weightage 322. So generally there we mentioned 70% based on quantitative and 30% based on qualitative. So you can add these two, 678 plus 322, overall score is 1000. So this is the distribution of matrices across criteria. So then again, criteria wise. So here we mentioned this number of quantitative, this number of qualitative. So what are the sub matrices criteria wise? Let us see. So distribution of weightages across key indicators. We will call it as key indicators. All the sub matrices of a criteria, we will call it as key indicator. Criteria 1, it has 4 key indicators. 1.1, curriculum design and development. So total weightage is 50. Then 1.2, academic flexibility 40. Curriculum enrichment 40. Feedback system 20. Total 150. So these are all the 4 key indicators in criteria 1. Then criteria 2, teaching, learning and evaluation. It has 7 key indicators. So 2.1, student enrollment and profile 20 weightage. Then catering to student diversity 30. Then teaching learning process 50. teacher profile and quality 50, evaluation process and reforms 50, student performance and learning outcomes 50, student satisfaction survey 50, total 300. So about student satisfaction survey, we already discussed. So this was evaluated separately based on the student responses. For autonomous college, 50 weightage is there. So these are all the 7 key indicators in criteria 2. Then criteria 3, research, innovations and extension. So it has 7 key indicators. So 3.1, promotion of research and facilities 20 is the weightage. Resource mobilization for research 10, innovation ecosystem 10, research publications and awards 30, consultancy 10, extension activities 50, collaboration 20. Total 150 marks are there. So 7 key indicators in criteria 3. Then criteria 4, infrastructure and learning resources. So it has 4 key indicators. 4.1, physical facilities 30 is the weightage. Library as a learning resource 20, IT infrastructure 30, maintenance of campus infrastructure 20. Total weightage 100. Then criteria 5, student support and progression. 4 key indicators are there. 5.1, student support 30 is the weightage. Then student progression 30, student participation and activities 30, alumni engagement 10, total 100. Then criteria 6, governance, leadership and management. It has 6 key indicators. 6.1, institutional vision and leadership, weightage is 10. Then 6.2, strategy, development and deployment 10, faculty empowerment strategies 30, financial management and resource mobilization 20, internal quality assurance system 30, total 100. Then last criteria 7, institutional values and best practices. It has 3 key indicators. 7.1, institutional values and social responsibilities 50, best practices 30, then institutional distinctiveness 20. So here 7.2, 7.3 both are qualitative. So 50, there 7.1, some qualitative matrices are there. So total 100. Then overall grand total score out of all the 7 criteria 1000. So these are all the distribution of weightages across key indicators among all criteria. Now move to criteria wise. So what are the documents needs to be maintained with respect to qualitative and the quantitative metrics? So criteria 1, curricular aspects. So this master table shows criteria 1, overall weightage, then qualitative metric numbers and their score, quantitative metrics, their numbers and score. So qualitative metrics, 2 matrices are there. So 1.1.1, 20 is the weightage, 1.3.1, 10. So what are these matrices? Now we will discuss all these. So then a total 2 qualitative, the total weightage for qualitative 30. Then quantitative metrics 9 are there. Their weightage is 120. So this is the distribution of criteria 1 now with qualitative and quantitative. So then, okay, before moving to our in detail, so what we have to do? So whatever I am explaining, so as per the manual only we have to follow. So you have to keep the following 3 important factors in our mind whenever you are preparing a document or preparing a self-study report for applying for renewal or fresh application. First time you are applying for NAC. So first we have to go to the NAC website. So let us, I will also open. So now, so all of you aware of the website nac.gov.in. So in the NAC website, so what you have to do, recently they have introduced help desk also. So publicly, whatever the queries you can post, they will respond. So now you can move down. So here there is one option, apply online. So whenever you can click on apply online, so here you will get all the manuals. So if you want to see the accreditation results, so monthly, whenever executive committee meeting was held, so in this tab, accreditation results will be updated. So your latest 2nd July. So like all previous accreditation results also available here. So all PDF files you can open and see it whichever you want. So publicly, if you want to see other colleges with their accreditation grade, their accreditation reports, everything is publicly available here. You can click on accreditation status. So accreditation status of universities and colleges, click here. So now here one search box is displayed. So you can select here even your college also, whoever the participants Your college already accredited. If you want to, you can select institution type, college or university, then select your state. So then cycle, which cycle. So that accreditation was done. Cycle 1, 2, 3, and so on. Results declared or even IUQA submitted, SSR submitted, peer team visit scheduled also, those also available. Then peer team report submitted, like you can select anyone. So then suppose here I am selecting, so yours is cycle 2 in future. If you want to refer cycle 2 sample SSRs. So cycle results declared. So I want, now here you can see total 338 colleges under cycle 2. So now per page maximum 100 records you will see. So here whatever the colleges, so you can see minimum A and above grade colleges. For example, here I am opening Srinidhi Institute. So A plus, let us assume. You can click on view. Here you can see that entire history is available. First cycle in 2013 they got A. Then second cycle 2021 March A plus. So now here you can see when they submitted their IUQA SSR submission, the status final grade declared. Now here you can see IUQA information. Whenever you can click this one, the sample field, their IUQA field PDF will be displayed for your reference whenever you are applying. So then SSR information, whenever you can click on this SSR, that complete self-study report, what we are going to explaining now, that will be displayed. Then peer team report during on-site visit, NAC feedback criteria wise report also available here. Then you can click on grade sheet. So criteria wise, what are the scores they secured? So the total grade also displayed here. So like publicly, so you can access this information by keeping this as the reference. So any queries so you are having while preparing, you can go through whatever the manual you selected, just see the sample data. That means that's already evaluated. Awarded means the data may be valid or considered like that. That is one factor. So another factor, so before suppose we don't want to depend on other colleges, if we want to do with our own. So there are self manuals. So you can click on apply online. So by clicking apply online, here you can see all manuals, even video tutorials also available. So even IAQA samples are there. Now self-study report. So self-study report, first you can select your college. So yours is university, you can select this one. Institutional accreditation revision manual. Recently, April 2020, these manuals are changed. So now if you are autonomous colleges, now you can see, select this one. So revised manual for autonomous colleges updated on 15th April. So now here every manual, here there are some Excel templates. Revised extended profile template for autonomous college. These are all Excel templates. Then revised data templates for autonomous colleges. So in the criteria wise, all the quantitative metrics, we are having data template. Almost 90% of quantitative metrics data templates are there. So these templates we have to follow. The data also we have to collect and prepare and maintain in this format only. You don't follow your own format. Why? Because NAC provided all the standard templates. Simply we have to follow. As per that, we have to collect and maintain all the records. Then standard operating procedure for DVB, that is for quantitative metrics. Qualitative metrics matrices, there is no DVB. I mean SOP, only for online 70% evaluation through data validation and verification. For that SOP are there. Standard operating procedure means criteria wise. For quantitative metrics, they have mentioned what type of data is considered, what type of data not to be included. So careful, we have to read SOP, then follow the templates, then follow the manual. So by keeping these three documentations, so we have to start preparing, collecting, submitting, whatever. So these are all the master manuals for maintenance of our documentation or preparation of any document for SSR, even for AQR, whatever. So these manuals we have to stick on. So we can't alter, we can't follow with our own customized format. Simply we have to stick on these templates. Okay, now let us move to ours. Okay, now as part of criteria 1, Now let us see one by one. So here I have mentioned the metric query, then a list of files to be maintained, then weightage we already mentioned here also, the metric number also mentioned. So criteria 1, first key indicator 1.1, curriculum design and development, total weightage 50. So in this, the first metric 1.1.1, here I have mentioned Q1, QN. Q1 means qualitative, QN means quantitative. So for SOP, applicable for only QN, quantitative. For Q1, qualitative, there is no SOP. So 1.1.1, this is qualitative. So the question is, curricula developed and implemented have relevance to the local, national, regional, and global developmental needs, which is reflected in program outcomes, program specific outcomes, program course outcomes of the programs offered by the institution. So yours is the autonomous college. So we have to follow the curriculum developed by us. Then whatever the curriculum that was implemented, relevance to the local, national, regional, and global development needs. So then those can be reflected in program outcomes, program specific outcomes, and course outcomes. So if you are affiliated college means we have to follow the affiliating university curriculum. So your list of files or documents to be maintained. So first curriculum, year-wise curriculum we have to maintain. Then in that curriculum, whatever the courses, UG, PG courses relevance to the local, national, regional, and global development needs. Then course outcomes of each and every course. Then mapping of the courses with the program outcomes, mapping of courses with program specific outcomes. Anyway, in criteria 2 also separately we have one metric regarding course outcomes, program specific outcomes. But here only whatever the curriculum developed for those curriculum. So we have to define all these course outcomes, then mapping with POs, mapping with PSOs. So then key indicator 1.1.2, this is quantitative. So this can be evaluated through DVB. Percentage of programs where syllabus revision was carried out during last 5 years. So as an autonomous college, so every 2 years once, or as per your institution norms for average how many years, so your syllabus will be revised. Then for that, minutes of the relevant academic council board of studies meetings are required. Then details of program syllabus revision in last 5 years. See, wherever data template is mentioned in pink color, so this you can refer from the Excel. So now here I opened that Excel also. Let us see here. So these are all the revised autonomous college data templates for criteria wise. So now we are discussing about 1.1.2. So 1.1.2, percentage of programs where syllabus revision was carried out during last 5 years. So 1.1.2, then 1.22. These two templates are merged. So for both matrices, you can use the same template. 1.1.2, 1.2.2, same template only you can use, but data combined. Now here you can see percentage of programs where syllabus revision was carried out. The template is, so as for this template, you have to collect the data. Program code, program name, year of introduction, status of implementation of CBCS or elective system, then year of implementation of CBCS or ECS, then year of revision, if any. If revision has been carried out in the syllabus during last 5 years, percentage of content added or replaced, then link to the relevant document. So the supporting document you can prepare in the form of a PDF, upload in the college website, then that college website link we have to provide. Another important point, so as per the latest revision from 2017 onwards, so the data, if you can upload in Google Drive using your institute email ID or personal email ID, those documents won't be considered. So any data that should be uploaded on your official college website only, then you have to provide that college website link. Only that data was considered. So this is the data template for 1.1.1. So then 1.1.3, this is also quantitative. Average percentage of courses having focus on employability, entrepreneurship, skill development offered by the institution. So in our curriculum, whatever the courses, focusing on these areas: employability, entrepreneurship, skill development. So you have to include those courses. So what are the documents required? What are the programs including these courses? Then their curriculum, then syllabus of the courses, then minutes of the board of studies or academic council meeting with approvals for these courses by stating. So meeting the requirements or focusing on employability, entrepreneurship, skill development, etc. Then MOUs with any relevant organizations of these courses with the industry relevant to these areas. Then average percentage of courses having focus on employability, entrepreneurship, etc. So all these courses we have to maintain in the data template. So that is for 1.1.3. Now here you can see this is the 1.1.3 data template. For 1.2.1 also same template. So for both you can use same Excel. So here name of the course, course code, activities or content with direct bearing on these areas: employability, entrepreneurship, skill development, year of introduction, last 5 years. So then link to the supporting document. So you have to maintain, put in the college website, and that link needs to be provided. And another important point, so as per these data templates, if you are collecting data, so what type of data you have to collect? So how to check with that? For that, you can use SOP. I already mentioned standard operating procedure. For every manual, separate SOPs are there. So this is the SOP for data validation and verification for autonomous colleges. UGPG affiliated or constant colleges, separate manual is there. For universities, separate manual is there based on those key indicators and metrics. Okay, this SOP for criteria wise metrics only for quantitative. Okay, now let us move to criteria 1, what we are discussing. So extended profile is also there. These are all the supporting matrices related to some criteria. Those are all part of your main criteria only. Okay, now we are discussing about criteria 1. Now let us see. Yes, some noise is coming, kindly. So you can switch off your mic. So metric wise standard operating procedure. So for criteria 1, 1.1.2, just now we discussed percentage of programs where syllabus revision was carried out during the last 5 years. So here actually the documents required for verification. So during inspection, they will consider only these type of valid documents only based on these parameters only. Of programs where syllabus revision has been carried out last 5 years. So the document is signed by the principal. Then approved minutes of relevant academic council BOS meeting, highlighting the specific agenda item relevant to the metric. So whenever revision was taken, that point was highlighted in the meeting. So then some instructions to the institution. If the number of courses in which content is changed in given program to be extent of 20% or more, it should be considered as the change in syllabus. So minimum 20% as more changes occurred, then that will be considered as change in syllabus. If the syllabus is changed more than once in a program during the assessment period, then it should be counted as only one change. Suppose if 2 changes are occurred, but only one change, the latest change you can project, only that will be considered. So not to be included or considered. So renaming or minor changes in the course content not to be included or considered. So these points we have to consider. The first column, documents required for verification, then specific instructions to be followed, then not to be included or considered. So these we have to avoid for every. Then 1.1.3 also we covered. The courses focusing on employability, entrepreneurship, skill development, etc. Here you can see syllabus copy of these courses highlighting the focus on these skill set, then with their course outcomes also for this employability, entrepreneurship, skill development. Then you have to provide mapping of these courses to, so which are the courses mapping with the employability, entrepreneurship, skill development in our curriculum based on the program wise. So then specific instructions. So you have to refer the glossary in the manual, understand the terminologies, course and program. So here quickly I will explain. So what is a program? Program is nothing but use undergraduate program. It may be a BTech, BCom, BSc, BA, whatever. These are all programs. Then even postgraduate programs. MTech, MCom, MSc, MA, whatever. These are all programs. UG program, PG program. Then courses means each UG program in the curriculum. In the curriculum, whatever the courses, first year to final year level, all those are all called as courses. For all the courses, course outcomes needs to be defined. Then for all the programs, program level, program outcomes, program specific outcomes needs to be defined. Program to program, the program specific outcomes are changed. So, but for program outcomes for technical, non-technical, so common program outcomes based on the manuals, accreditation agencies, whatever the manuals you are following. So as per those manuals, you can prepare common program outcomes related to common programs. Then program specific outcomes, every program to program, specific outcomes are changed. So then not to be included or considered, the courses which are not directly leading to these employability, entrepreneurship, skill development are not to be included. Not directly leading. So the courses which are directly leading to these areas, those courses only you can include. Okay, that is 1.1.3. So then coming to 1.2.1, this is also quantitative. Percentage of new courses introduced of the total number of courses across all programs offered during last 5 years. So here number of courses offered by the institution, then minutes of the relevant academic council BOS meeting, then the data in the prescribed data template. So 1.2.1. So here you can see 1.13, 1.2.1. Both templates are combined. So name of the course, course code, then activities, year of introduction. So here in this new courses introduced. So here year of introduction year is there. This is related to 1.2.1. Then remaining fields related to 1.1.3. So like that we have to maintain the data as per the data template. Then 1.2.2, this is also quantitative. Percentage of programs in CBCS or elective course system. So data for the latest completed academic year. See, they will mention for every metric. So how many years data we need to collect? Last 5 years. Means last 5 years means during your NAC renewal process, maybe 6 months before you are putting your application. That is your current academic year. So from that current academic year to last 5 years data we have to collect. So suppose you are applying newly fresh NAC application now. Now this is 21-22 just started. So last 5 years means 2021, 1922 back. Last 5 years data you have to collect. Then some matrices they mention latest completed academic year. Now latest completed academic year is 2021 latest completed. So 21-22 we can't consider, that is just in the beginning. Completed year only we have to consider. So last 5 years latest completed academic year. So these two specifications only they will mention as for the time bound. Then here files to be maintained, name of all the programs adopting CBCS and elective course, then minutes of the relevant academic council BOS, then the data in the prescribed format data template. Now you can see 1.2.2 for 1.1.2, 1.2.2, the same template is there. So here status of implementation of CBCS or elective course system. Here elective data, CBCS data comes here, then year of implementation. Then revision means this is related to 1.12. 1.22 means elective and CBCS, these two fields. Okay, coming to next metric. So this is 1.3 curriculum enrichment. In this, the first metric 1.3.1, this is qualitative. Institution integrates cross-cutting issues relevant to the professional ethics, gender, human values, environment, sustainability. So into curriculum. So here list and description of the courses which addresses these areas. So we have to identify those curriculums. For qualitative, no SOP and no data template. Just this is the description. Write up, then the supporting data we have to produce, like the curriculum highlighting these courses, then these courses syllabus, then the students enrolled and completed, any activities conducted to meet these requirements. Those supporting data we have to produce here. Then 1.3.2, again this is quantitative metric, number of value added courses for importing transferable and life skills. Here you can see the courses importing transferable and life skills. So here files to be maintained, names of the value added courses. See the value added courses with minimum 30 or more contact hours. Then only that course will be considered. If it is less than 30 hours, that won't be considered. So for all these courses, all the years, you have to maintain brochure or any other document relating to value added courses. Now the data as per the data template, see 1.3.2, now you can see. So 1.3.2, 1.3.3, both are merged. The reason 1.3.2 shows what are the courses, that is value added courses for importing transferable life skills. 1.3.3, students enrolled and benefited those courses. That's why these two are merged. Okay, now here you can see you have to mention name of the value added course with 30 or more contact hours, then course code, year of offering, number of times offered the same course during the same year, duration of the course, and number of students enrolled, the number of students completing the course. Completing means you have to collect some completion certificate. So like that, see here they have mentioned year 1. So last year means 2021, then year 2, 1920, then year 3, 1819. So like 5 years data needs to be maintained. Okay, so these are all the courses you have to maintain as per the data template with minimum 30 hours. Then 1.3.3 is same, we already discussed. Just here student details. So 1.3.3, average percentage of students enrolled in the course under the above metric 1.3.2. Names of the value added courses. So which within the curriculum, what are the courses that won't be considered under value added beyond with 30 or more contact hours. List of as per the template what we discussed, number of students registered, the number of students, the course. So let us see SOP for this. You can keep SOP in your mind collecting data. You can check out. For example, value added courses, let us see. So what are the documents needs to be considered? List of value added courses which are optional. That means these are all not mandatory as part of your syllabus, optional courses, and offered outside the curriculum of the program, signed by the appropriate authority. So year-wise, whatever the courses you identified as value-added courses, those courses can be approved through college governing body or IQAC minutes. So in that, approval will be taken year-wise. For all the courses, you have to maintain brochure, course content, that is syllabus, along with the course outcomes for all the value added courses. Then instructions to the institution. Courses of varying durations, at least 30 contact hours, that are optional, offered outside the curriculum, that adds value to the holistic development of the student. So not to be considered. Online courses opted by students which are not offered by the institution, not to be considered. Some students taken like NPTEL SWAYAM courses offered by others, not your institution. So those won't be considered. So even online course that is offered by your institution, then that will be considered. So value added courses that are not offered by institution will not be considered. Then 1.3.3 student details as in 1.3.2. List of enrolled students in such courses. Then see, during DVV process, DV partner may ask for certificates of randomly selected students enrolled in such courses and attendance sheet also. See carefully, for every student, you can take attendance. So daily, as per the schedule of that course with the student signatures. Roll list, they won't consider. Compulsory student signatures are required. Then course completion certificate you have to provide. So randomly, they will pick some students, they will ask to provide. So those student certificates and attendance sheet also show those student names. So carefully maintain all these documents. Okay, then coming to our next metric, 1.3.4, percentage of students undertaking field projects, internships, student projects, etc. So here only completed, latest completed academic year. Suppose 2021 is the latest completed academic year. So that data we have to collect here. So here, as per the data template 1.3.4, now let us see. This is separate template. So percentage of students undertaking field project, student project, internship. Number of students undertaking. So both are part of this one. Here program name, program. So then name of how to take all the student names. So under project, internship, student project, etc. Then link to the relevant document. Now, type of documents we have to produce. Let us go back and check SOP. So here you can see list of students undertaking the field project internship program wise latest completed academic year, along with the details of title, place of work. So where they did their project work, where they did in the industry internship. So those locations also you have to mention. Their internship completion certificate from the organization where internship was completed along with the duration. So compulsory, if it is internship is completion certificate, if the duration is required. If it is field trip or industry visit, report of the field visit, sample photographs of the field visit, permission letter will be considered. So these documents compulsory you have to maintain. Then reports of student project. For student projects, so you have to take the scanned copy of student project report showing cover page, certificate, acknowledgement, abstract, and a table of contents, some sample results. So every project wise, we have to scan and make single file. So then specific instructions, only current year, latest completed year data to be considered. One student involved in multiple field work under internship or student project, that should be counted as only once. So it's very important. So you can try to motivate different students to participate in these activities. Suppose one student may be participating more than one activity, so no use. Maybe student benefited, but for our count purpose, only one will be considered. That's why more students we have to encourage to participate in different activities. Then student count will be more. So internship completion certificate given to the students by the host organization. So we'll ask during DVV process along with the student list. So they will ask randomly selected students internship certificates during the DVV process along with student list. In case of field visit, course content mentioning favor of field visit along with field visit report and project. So then which are the things not to be considered? So the list of students cannot be considered without relevant supporting documents. So simply have provided a list of the student without supporting document, that won't be considered. So then coming to that is 1.3.4. Next 1.4.1. So these two matrices in 1.4 related to feedback system. 1.4.1 structured feedback for design and review of syllabus, semester wise, year wise, obtained from the following stakeholders: from the students, from the teachers, from the employers, from the alumni. Student and teachers are internal stakeholders. Employers and alumni are external stakeholders. So list of files to be maintained here. Report of analysis of the feedback received from different stakeholders. Then that feedback report should be included in the college website. That URL should be provided here. URL of feedback report. Then action taken report of the institution feedback. So by approving in the governing council or board of management, so supporting document needs to be uploaded. For this, there is no data template. Just we have to provide the PDF files. So during submission. Then 1.4.2 is also similar. After collect in the 1.4.1, what we have to do? Collecting the feedback, analysis of the feedback. Then 1.4.2, based on the collection analysis, some options are given. The feedback system of the institution comprises of the following. The first option, feedback collected, analyzed, action taken, and report available on website. If all are satisfying, then option is A. Feedback collected, analyzed, and action taken, but not available on website, then B option. Feedback collected and analyzed, no action taken, so not uploaded on the website, then C. Only feedback collected, D. Feedback not updated. So based on this, you can. So you can aim for option A. That means we have to collect the feedback, analyze the feedback, action taken, then put on college website also. So here stakeholder feedback report, action taken report, then approved in the governing council or academic council, board of management, then URLs for the stakeholder feedback report. So separate questionnaires you can prepare for student related feedback, alumni feedback, employer feedback, teachers feedback. So let us see the SOP for this. What are the points they mentioned? See, during DVV, they will ask some sample field feedbacks. 1.4.1 sample field feedback was from the stakeholders to be provided. Then feedback concerned with curriculum development only can be considered. Only filled in feedback report will be considered. In case of selecting A, B, C, D options, provide 3 filled forms from each category. Then the DV partner may ask for filled in forms randomly for selected stakeholders. It may be alumni, or it may be a student, or it may be a teacher, or it may be employee. So randomly they will ask. So what are the documents they won't consider? Feedback not related to the design and review of syllabus will not be considered. Then analysis, stakeholder feedback analysis report signed by the competent authority. So all the documents in the NAC almost authorized by the head of the institution, that is principal. So if it is department level, department HOD, then college level principal. Department wise action taken report and feedback signed by the competent authority. So then specific instructions, feedback report should be hosted on the college website. Provide links in which directly lead to the reports on items listed in the chosen option. Feedback not related to design and review of syllabus will not be considered. These are all the SOPs. So that's all about criteria 1. Then coming to criteria 2, teaching, learning and evaluation. So due to time constraint, quickly I will complete it. So whatever the queries, you can make a note, you can post in chat box. So later also I will respond to the coordinators. So criteria 2, teaching, learning and evaluation. So here it has total weightage 300. So qualitative metrics, quantitative metrics. Qualitative metrics are 7 with weightage 100. Quantitative metrics 11, weightage is 200. So now all these matrices, one by one we'll see. So first key indicator 2.1, student enrollment and profile. So in this 2.1.1 quantitative metric, average enrollment percentage for last 5 years. So that means students admission, number of students admitted year wise, last 5 years, number of sanction sheets. So year wise, then approval letter, affiliation letter from AICT UGC affiliating university. All the supporting documents needs to be maintained. Then demand ratio. So average of last 5 years. So let us see the data template for 2.1.1. So this is the template we have to maintain. So here a program name, year wise, program code, number of seats sanctioned, number of students admitted. So demand ratio means percentage. So number of students admitted by total number of seats. So that is the ratio. So like year wise, this data you have to maintain. So last latest completed year to back 4 years, total 5 years data we have to maintain. So then let us see the SOP for this. So what type of documents they will consider? List containing the number of applications received for each of the program signed by the competent authority, document relating to sanctioned intake approved by the competent authority, letters to or from affiliating university indicating the sanctioned admitted seats for each program. So not applicable to standalone institutions if it is affiliated to a particular university. Specific instructions, sanction admission strength in each program versus against the number of applications received. And during DVU process, verification of data for any selected program may ask. Documents relating to the sanction of intake from concerned competent authorities. Okay, then next one, 2.1.2, this is also quantitative. So percentage of seats filled against reservation categories as per SCST, OBC, Divyanjan, etc. So based on the your state government reservation policy last 5 years. So here let us see the data template. Here itself, all the supporting documents also you will get here. So 2.1.2, seats filled against reservation category. So year wise, last 5 years, number of seats earmarked as per the government of India or state government rule, category wise number of seats reserved. Then number of students admitted as per these categories. So left part, number of seats reserved, then right part, actual number of students admitted. For these supporting documents, let us go back to SOP. So copy of letters issued by the state government or central government indicating the reserved categories to be considered as per the state rule. Then final admission list indicating the category as published by the HEI and signed by the competent authority. Then admission extract submitted to the state OBC, SC and ST cell every year, signed by the principal. So these documents needs to be maintained. Then include only those reserved categories as specified by the state government or central government orders for admission. Only those seats filled against the quota should be counted here. Letters to or from affiliating university indicating the sanctioned and admitted seats in various categories for each program, not applicable to standalone institution. Candidates belonging to the reserved categories who are admitted against general merit, those not included here, those can be excluded. So then coming to next one. So after the reservation category, then key indicator 2.2, catering to student diversity. First metric, this is qualitative. The institution assesses the learning levels of the students and organize special programs for advanced learners and slow learners. This is actually part of mentoring system. So this is qualitative, no SOP, no data template. Descriptive data you have to provide along with supporting documents. So for advanced learners, what are the activities you are conducting? For slow runners, what are the activities you are conducting? You have to list out all the activities, then outcome of each and every activity, then mentoring process, then mentor allocation circular, then mentor-mentee ratio, then so mentor-wise activities carried out related to academic and stress related. So then criteria for identification of advanced learners and slow learners, and what merit you are identifying the learners as advanced learners or the learners are slow learners. For slow learners, what activities you are conducting? Advanced learners, what activities you are conducting? All these needs to be maintained. Then 2.2.2, this is quantitative student faculty ratio. So this is for latest completed academic year. For this, total number of students enrolled in the institution during the current completed academic year, the total number of faculty on roll. So based on this, the ratio will be calculated. So then 2.3 teaching learning process. So 2.3.1, this is qualitative. Student-centric methods such as experiential learning, participative learning, and problem-solving methodologies used for enhancing learning experience in our day-to-day teaching learning process. This is also qualitative. So whatever the methods you are adapting, following, so supporting documents you have to maintain, then outcome of each and every method. So finally, so how students are benefited with these methods by incorporating in our teaching learning process. For each faculty wise, for all the departments, this data needs to be maintained. Then 2.3.2, again, this is qualitative. Teachers use ICT enabled tools, including online resources for effective teaching learning process. So now we are conducting this workshop. This is also ICT. So ICT tool we are using here, one video conferencing tool. So then the PPT, so I have disseminated. This is also one ICT mechanism. So faculty wise, list of ICT tools, faculty wise ICT lectures. So what are the lectures you are delivering? So unit wise, some best lectures you can collect and keep in one college level intranet server or YouTube channel. Your institute official YouTube channel is there, or your local intranet server. That link you have to provide in the college website, and that link will be shared to all of your students and faculty, so which can be utilized. So then faculty wise MOOCs courses. So for an enrichment of our knowledge, so with emerging technologies through Swayam NPTEL or Swayam courses, even other MHRD recognized MOOCs platforms, you can take up semester wise at least one course. So that will be useful for our enhancement. Then in the website, you have to mention ICT enabled tools, including online resources for effective teaching learning process. All this you can include in the website. That link also you have to provide during the filling of SSR. Then 2.3.3, this is quantitative. Ratio of students to mentor for academic and other related issues. So this point I already mentioned, advanced learners and slow learners. So mentoring, so you have to maintain year-wise the number of students enrolled and full-time teachers on roll, number of students assigned to each mentor, circulars pertaining to assigning mentors to mentees, then mentor-mentee. So then here also for this SOP is there. Let us see 2.3.3. Copy of circular pertaining the details of mentor and their allotted mentees. Approved mentor list announced by the head of the institution. In addition, issues raised and resolved in the mentor system has to be attached mentor-wise. Then only full-time teacher can be considered as the mentor. So the list of mentors and mentees will not suffice for this metric without supporting document. So that is the next one. Then 2.3.4, preparation and adherence to academic calendar and teaching plans by the institution. This is qualitative. So we have to maintain all academic calendars, our teaching plans for our courses. Then for this, we have to maintain course files and lab manuals, their day-wise execution plans. So all supporting documents we have to produce here. Then 2.4, that is the next key indicator, teacher profile and quality. So 2.4.1, which is quantitative, average percentage of full-time teachers, again a sanctioned post during last 5 years. So governing body at college level has provided every year. So how many seats are sanctioned, then how many seats are filled, there is faculty recruitment. So one important point, the actual recruited faculty, not more than the sanctioned posts. So whatever the sanctioned post, so maximum of that count only the actual faculty needs to be filled. So for this also data templates are there. 2.4.1. Now let us see. So the faculty data. So whenever any faculty joined, so whenever they are reporting to your department, so you have to collect this data and keep the data in our file with all supporting documents. So here 2.4.1 teachers function post, then teaching experience, that is 2.4.3, that is also merged here. First, name of the full-time faculty, their PON number, their designation, year of appointment, nature of appointment, that is either temporary or permanent, the name of the department, total experience in the same institution. See, last year onwards, NAAC considering the experience in the same institution only. Suppose even you are having 30-40 years experience outside of this institution, this year you are having 1 month or 2 months or 0, only that experience will be counted. So total experience in the same institution. Then is the teacher still serving the institution? If not, last year of the service of the faculty. So here you have to give the data of left. So whenever that faculty is not continuing in that particular academic year. So you can make sure every faculty should be completed minimum 90% of working hours in particular academic year. Then only that faculty will be considered the full-time faculty. Okay, now let us see SOP for this. Ratio of student, average percentage of full-time teachers. So for normal faculty, there is no SOP. For PhDs, SOP is there. So then go back to next. So 2.4.2, percentage of teachers with PhD, DM, MCH, whatever the specialization related to our institute category. So here let us check the data template for this. For PhD related or highest qualification, this is the template. Name of the full-time teacher with the qualification, whatever the highest qualification. So then a qualification, year of obtaining the highest qualification. Then minimum PhD qualification and above only. Then whether recognized as research guide. Actually, this is in criteria 3 also 2 matrices are combined with this. 3.2.3, percentage of teachers as recognized as guide. Then 3.4.2, number of PhD registered per teacher. So once you recognized as guide under your guideship, so number of students, scholars registered. So these three common template is given here. So whether recognized as research guide with this qualification, year of recognized as research guide, is the teacher still serving in the institution? If not, last year of the service of the faculty in the institution. Then name of the research scholar. Suppose you are recognized as research guide. So some of the scholars registered under you, name of your scholar. Then year of registration of the scholar. Guide allotment letter. So that link you have to provide in the college website, that link you have to provide here. So in any template, wherever link option is there, so don't provide Google Drive link, only college website links only you have to provide. By clicking that link directly, it directs to that particular content. So even directly, if it won't shows, so then they will disqualify that matrix. So here you can see some SOPs for this list of faculties having PhD, etc., along with particulars of degree, awarding university, subject and year of award. These details are required. Then mention number of full-time teachers with highest qualifications, irrespective of the year of award. So if the data is large, then during DVV, certificates of selected faculty will be asked during DVV. So all the PhD and above qualification faculty original convocation certificates, you have to take color scanning, maintain a soft copy as well as hard copy black and white. So during uploading, they will ask with attested copy of these certificates. Randomly, they will ask some faculty. Suppose in particular year, you mentioned so-and-so doctorate, they will pick some random names. They will ask to submit their PhD certificates. That's why all doctorate certificates you have to maintain. So what are the things not to be considered? Honorary degree, doctorate degree, not to be included or considered in this. Only regular qualified degree. So then next one, 2.4.3, teaching experience of full-time teachers in the same institution. So this data for latest completed academic year only will be considered. Latest completed academic year in number of years. So let us see the 2.4.1 and 2.4.3. The same template is used here. Here you can see 2.4.1, 2.4.3. So list of faculty, then experience also here they have mentioned total experience in the same institution. So both of them having the same template here. Then coming to SOP for this experience, list of faculties along with particulars of the date of appointment in the HAI and years experience in the institution, number of years of experience in the same institution. So documents needs to be experience certificate, appointment order of selected faculty will be asked during DVV. For every faculty, you have to maintain in personal file consisting of latest profile, that is resume, appointment order, joining report, experience certificate, then achievements like professional membership, faculty, qualifications, awards, etc. All you can maintain in the personal file. So whenever they will ask anything related to any criteria, wherever it reflects, you can provide those data. So which are the things not to be considered? Work experience of the teacher in other institutions, not to be considered. Earlier it was there. Last year onwards, this was changed. That is January 2020 updated manual only in the same institution experience is considering. So then coming to 2.5 evaluation process and reforms. So in this 2.5.1 quantitative, average number of days from the date of last semester and year end examination till the declaration of results. So this is related to results declaration after the last semester, last working day and last examination. For this list of programs and date of last semester, date of declaration of result as per the template, number of days taken for declaration of results, average number of days for declaration of results last 5 years. Here you can take examination timetables, results, declaration dates, list of students registered for examination. Let us see the data template once. 2.5.1. 2.5.1. Here you can see. So this is the template you have to maintain for a result declaration. Program name, program code, year wise. So last 5 years data you have to maintain. Then semester or year. Then last date of the last semester end or year end examination. Date of declaration of the results, semester end or year end. If it is year wise or semester wise, every semester, results declaration and the last day. So for all these supporting data, the timetables, so all examination related data you have to maintain here. Then 2.5.2, this is also quantitative. Percentage of student complaints or grievances about evaluation against total number appeared in the examination. This related to examination grievance as per the data template. Let us see 2.5.2. So here 2.5.2 no data template is there. So then you can collect the general data. Now let us go back to SOP for 2.5.1, 5.2. So number of days for result declaration. See here you have to maintain report from the controller of examination mentioning the name of the program, end date of the examination, date of announcement of the results, along with the number of days elapsed for all the programs for each year of the assessment period. Then documentary evidences of the academic sessions, academic year planner signed by the competent authority. In case of semester system, take the average of days of 2 semesters in a year. Then for grievances related to examination, minutes of the grievance cell relevant body, the number of students who have applied for revaluation, retotaling program wise and total certified by the principal or controller of examination, year wise for the assessment period. So all RC, RV application forms, then results of those we have to maintain. One student to be counted only once in a year, irrespective of number of papers or courses for which she has applied. Suppose one student applied more than one course for recounting or revaluation in a particular semester, that can be counted as only once. So these are all the SOPs. Then 2.5.3, this is qualitative. So IT, that means the software, information technology, integration and reforms in the examination procedures and process, including continuous internal assessment, have brought in considerable improvement in examination management system. So as a autonomous college, so which IT software you are using for processing of results and examination process? Here examination management system software details along with PO invoice, their sample screenshots and about that manual you have to maintain one document, examination procedures and rules and regulations, then processes integrating to this examination software, continuous internal assessment, the evaluation pattern guidelines, how this will be incorporated into your IT, then paste college website link showing this information. So this is qualitative, no SOP and no data template for this. Then 2.6 student performance and learning outcomes. So in this first metric 2.6.1, this is qualitative program outcomes, course outcomes of all programs offered by the institution, and same will be displayed on the college website also, and also communicated to the teachers and students. So here you have to maintain course outcomes for all the courses, mechanism of communication with stakeholders, how you are communicating by putting in the college website, by displaying on the notice boards, by preparing that fixograph boards, flexes, etc. Then for outside stakeholders, by communicating through mail, etc. Then program outcomes, course outcomes are needs to be displayed on college website. This is qualitative. Then 2.6.2 is also qualitative, but this is for attainment. So in 2.6.1, also defining and dissemination. Now, how to do the attainment? Attainment of program outcomes, course outcomes evaluated by the institution. So here method of measuring attainment of POs, PSOs and COs, the level of attainment of POs, PSOs, COs, Results of attainment of POs, PSOs, and COs. So total for preparing, displaying 20, for attainments 10, 30 points easily you will get here. So that is 2.6. Then 2.6.3, there is a results, pass percentage of students. This is for latest completed academic year. This is quantitative again. So here, as per the data template, let us see. So what data we have to produce? 2.6.3. So the results will be maintained for latest completed academic year in this format: program code, program name, number of students appeared in the final year examination. So every time only you can take final year results. Then number of students passed in final year examination. So for this, the supporting documents go back to check from SOP 2.6.3. Let us see here. So annual report of COE, controller of examination, highlighting pass percentage of students. Then a certified report from controller of examination indicating pass percentage from the final year eligible for the degree program year wise. So here specific points needs to be considered. Only current final year, latest completed academic year student data of all programs to be considered. Copy of the letter regarding students appeared and passed in the final year examination sent to the affiliating university to be provided. So not applicable to standalone. So then results pertaining to students other than the final year not to be submitted. So then the last metric in criteria 2.7 student satisfaction survey. So this was done by NAAC separately by sending feedback link to the students as per the data uploaded in the data template. So for this weightage is 50, highest weightage in this criteria. Online student satisfaction survey regarding to teaching learning process, only survey to be conducted by NAAC. Let us see the data template, what data you have to maintain. So you can collect the student data current running year, first year to final year in this format. Name of the student, gender, category. So category means reservation community. Then a state of domicile. So as per their previous college, so they will comes under which state, but for considering local, non-local. Then nationality, email ID. So you can provide correct email ID which can be worked. So till they stay in the college. Then program name. Then a student unique enrollment ID. You can provide roll number. So then mobile number. Next, year of joining and course. So this is the template. So in this template only, we have to fill the data. This template we have to upload to the NAAC portal. Based on this data, randomly they will pick some students. So then they will send the survey link to those students. Then minimum, whatever the condition we mentioned starting of this session, triple-S. So a minimum 10% of students responses needs to be received. Then coming to criteria 3, research, innovations and extension. So in this total, we are having 3 qualitative metrics, then 20 quantitative. See, more quantitative metrics are there in criteria 3. Weightage also 129 for quantitative, 21 for qualitative. Now let us see 3.1, promotion of research and facilities. This is qualitative. The institution research facilities for frequently updating, and there is well-defined policy for promotion of research, which is uploaded on the college website. This is a write-up description. You have to provide research facilities, college level, department wise, minutes of the governing council, board of management for research promotion policy adoption, URL of policy document on promotion. So the policy document you can place on college website, that link will be provided here. So then 3.1.2, this is quantitative. The institution provides seed money to its teachers for research, average per year. So for this, let us see the data template 3.1.2. So this is the template you have to maintain for seed money for teachers. Name of the teacher provided with seed money, the amount in lakhs, year of receiving, the link to the policy document for sanction of seed money or grants from the research institution. So that policy document you can put in the college website, that link you have to paste here. So now let us see the SOP for this 3.1.2. So here list of faculty who have been awarded seed money for research along with the title of the project, duration and amount year-wise. Sanction letters of the award of the seed money to the teachers is mandatory. Then this is very important. Audited income expenditure statement highlighting the relevant expenditure counter signed by the principal indicating seed money. So in the audit statement, income expenditure statement with this header, so faculty seed money for research with this name, year-wise whatever the amount, so that was released, so that should be reflected in the audit statement. So whenever data size is large, DV will ask some specific teachers. Only formal research project seed money will be considered, only research related. Which are the things not to be considered? Grants for other than research projects need to be avoided. Sponsorship to conferences, seminars to be avoided. Grants received from outside of agencies for research not to be included. That is a different one actually. Okay. Next 3.1.3, this is also quantitative. Percentage of teachers awarded with national international fellowship for advanced studies or research during last 5 years. So let us see the template 3.1.3. 3.1.3. So fellowships, national international level. Name of the teacher awarded with national or international fellowship or financial support. Name of the award or fellowship, year of award, awarding agency. Maybe for PhD or postdoctorate, JRF, so whatever the relevant fellowships, so that you can provide with these details. Now let us see the SOP for this 3.1.3. So you have to provide e-copies of the award letters of the teachers, list of teachers who have received the awards along with the nature of award, awarding agency. Then documents for all the awards are compulsory. Awards without any financial support not to be included. Example, best teacher award, certificate of appreciation, etc. Okay, next one, resource mobilization for research, that is 3.2. So 3.2.1, this is again quantitative. Here now the grants received from government and non-government agencies for research projects, endowments, etc. last 5 years. So this is research projects related, only 2 marks are there. So let us see the data template for 3.2.1. So 3.2.1, 3.2.2, 3.2.4. So all these having the same template. Grants received 3.2.1, 3.2.2 percentage of teachers having research projects. 3.2.4 average percentage of departments. So here department name, department related faculty name, then grant details. All 3 are combined in this. So name of the principal investigator or co-investigator, name of the funding agency, type, government or non-government. Then department of principal investigator, your department name, year of award, then funds provided in lakhs, then duration of the project. For this, what are the supporting documents needs to be maintained? So 3.2.1, list of the grants for research project received during the last 5 years, along with the nature of award, awarding agency and the amount. So you have to provide e-copies of the letters of award for research project sponsored by government and non-government. So here sanction letter of grants by the funding agency is mandatory to support the claim. The duration of the grant period to be aligned with the assessment period. During that assessment period, which are the things not to be considered? Grants given by their own trust or sister institutions not to be considered. Grants in the form of equipment, software, skill development, etc. not to be considered. Then 3.2.2, this also quantitative percentage of teachers having research projects during last 5 years. For this also the same template what we discussed. Then 2.3% of teachers recognized as research guide. 3.2.3. So this is already measured with second criteria. 3.2.3, there is a 2.4.2. Here you can see. So here you can observe. So here recognized as research guide. Whether recognized as research guide, that will comes here. Year of recognition, then your scholar details. Name of research scholar, year of recognition, registration of the scholar, guide allotment letter, website link. So these 2 are similar. Okay, next one. Percentage of departments having research projects. This already discussed with 3.2.1, that is research grants. So there, your department name also reflected here. Then 3.3 innovation ecosystem. This is qualitative. Institution has created an ecosystem for innovations, creation and transfer of knowledge, supported by dedicated centers for research, entrepreneurship, community, incubation, etc. This is qualitative. So no SOP, no format. You have to maintain incubation center details with the facilities. Your department, if you are having incubation center, department wise, incubation center photograph facilities, their utilization, list of activities conducted related to research, entrepreneurship, incubation, etc. List of student entrepreneurs, MOUs with any incubators. Then 3.3.2, this is quantitative. Number of workshops, seminars conducted on research methodology, intellectual property rights, entrepreneurship, and skill development last 5 years. So for every activity, you have to maintain a report along with the geo-tagged photos. Now let us see in the SOP clearly. First, go back to data template for 3.3.2. 3.3.2, see, the data needs to be collected in this format. Here, that means last 5 years means 2021 year. Name of the workshop or seminar, number of participants, date from to, link to the activity report on the website. Every activity, every individual activity, you can't combine multiple activities. Year wise, suppose you have conducted 30 activities, 30 web links you have to provide. Every row, you have to paste the link. Now let us see the SOP for 3.3.2. Here you can see 3.35 serial number. So detailed report for each program, brochure and geo-tagged photo. This is very important. Brochure and geo-tagged photograph with date and caption, title of workshop or seminar conducted. Then details of resource person also needs to be included. Specific instructions, only activities with bearing these areas, that is research methodology, IPR, entrepreneurship, and skill development to be considered. Only these to be considered. Okay. Next, 3.4 research publication and awards, total 30 weightage. 3.4.1, this is quantitative. The institution ensures implementation of its stated code of ethics for research through the following: inclusion of research ethics, research methodology course. That means you have to maintain the plagiarism software. Then presence of ethics committee, you have to form one ethics committee also. Research advisory committee. So here 3.4.1, let us see the data template. So it has no data template. So just you have to provide these details. Code of ethics for research document, research advisory committee, and ethics committee, both are separate. List of members on these committees. Software used for plagiarism check, then link to the website. All these have to, even research policy document also. So here you have to maintain. Then 3.4.2, number of PhD registered per teacher, recognized with guides. This is already covered in 3.2.3, the same data template here. Then 3.4.3, this is a quantitative, number of research papers per teacher in journals notified on UGC website during last 5 years. So let us go back and check 3.4.3 data template. This is very important. Publications. So you have to provide title of the paper, name of the author, all co-authors also you have to mention in the same order that was published in the paper. So your name you can highlight or you can make bold. Then department of the teacher, name of the journal, year of publication, ISSN number. So then here you have to provide a link to the recognition on UGC enlistment of the journal through UGC care. So the link should be like this: ugc.ac.in/care something like that URL. So which shows whatever the journal you are projecting here. So link to the website, to the journal, link to the article, paper abstract, or your particular paper. It may be a full paper availability or abstract, whichever shows in your name. Is it listed in UGC care list or Scopus or Web of Science or other? You can mention which category. So if any link, it won't direct to your specific title, that will be rejected. Some links, so 404 not found errors may occur. So correctly, temporary links you can't provide. So the links through UGC, Scopus, Web of Science, those only you can provide. Some other research bodies like ResearchGate, Google Scholar links. So later sometimes those may be removed also. So those are all not permanent. It's own indexing database link only you can provide to avoid such error entries. So then publications, let us see some SOPs. So the institute should provide the link landing to the paper or article, direct link. The institute should provide the link to the journal website. The institute should provide screenshots of research articles clearly showing the title of the article, affiliation, name of the journal, year, author name, if the links and DOI numbers are not available. See, suppose you are working in one institution, the paper with the institute name only considered during the assessment period. Suppose some faculty pursuing PhD, so for PhD purpose, they mention university name wherever they are pursuing PhD. So that won't be counted here. So at that time, maybe you can include current institute affiliation as well as research institute affiliation also, both. So that may be considered here. So, but without institute affiliation, that paper won't be considered. So then the institute should indicate the data template against each paper about the presence of the paper in UGC care list or Scopus, which category that you have to mention. Publication of the authors with institution affiliation will be considered for the assessment year soon. See, with the institution affiliation, incomplete entry is not to be considered. Details given are not complete with the link screenshot respective will not be considered. The next one, same as publications, but this is only journals. The other one is books published, chapters in edited volumes or books, then last 5 years. So this template is again different, 3.4.4. So let us see. Serial number, a name of the faculty, title of the book or chapters published. So here, if it is book or book chapter, here you can fill. If it is paper, conference paper, here you can write conference paper title. Then title of the proceedings of the conference, year of publication. See, title of the paper, title of the proceedings of the conference. This is conference related. Year of publication, ISBN or ISSN. Book means compulsory ISBN. So some chapters, conferences with ISSN also. So whether at the time of publication, affiliating institution was same. Here you can see yes or no. Name of the publisher. So these details. So in the SOP, they will ask some random faculty publications or books cover page showing ISN and affiliation. Now go back and check 3.4.4 SOP. Now let us see. E-copy of cover page, content page, first page of the publication indicating ISBN, year of publication for book or book chapter and conference proceedings. Web link of research paper by title, author, department, school, division, so etc. and year of publication. Web link also. Books with ISBN number only considered. Details of selected publication would be asked during DVV. Publications claimed under 3.4.5 not to be included in this metric. So 3.4.5, I think, not this 4.5 actually wrongly mentioned. That is in 3.4.3. In this general publication, whatever that won't be counted here. Publication without institution affiliation or outside assessment period not to be counted. Then 3.4.5, this is bibliometric. Bibliometric of publication during last 5 years, which covers the citation index in Scopus, Web of Science, PubMedia, etc. So 3.4.5, we don't have any template. So we have to maintain the total number of citations in Scopus last 5 years, then citations in Web of Science, then total publications in Scopus, total publications in Web of Science, bibliometric of the publications during last 5 years. See, these data are directly they will take from Infi Library Net, from the UGC. Infi Library Net will be used for the purpose of calculation of scores. That's why every faculty, whatever the papers published in these indexing bodies, college affiliation correctly you have to provide, your name correctly you have to provide, so your department, etc. So then with this Infi Library Net, directly score will be calculated. Then this also H-index related, bibliometric of the publication during last 5 years based on the same H-index of the institution. So here also no, let us say 3.4.6. Here also we don't have data template, but AQR these templates are there. H-index of Scopus database, H-index of Web of Science, then bibliometric publication based on Scopus Web of Science of H-index. So this data also taken from UGC Infi Library Net for calculation purpose. 5 plus 5, 10 marks are there based on this bibliometric and H-index. They're coming to 3.5 consultancy, 3.5.1, this is quantitative. Revenue generated from consultancy and corporate training last 5 years. 3.5.1, let us see the template. 3.5.1 and total amount spent, that is 3.5.2, both are combined. So here year wise, you need to maintain name of the teacher or consultant, name of the consultancy project or corporate training program, consulting and sponsoring agency with contact details, year, that is a academic year, then revenue generated, then number of trainees for this project. Then 3.5.2 total amount spent, this is also combined. Name of the teacher, name of the facilities and department, agency seeking training, their contact details here, name of the consultancy, total amount spent. So 5.1, 5.2 both are combined here. Now this is the 5.2 amount spent on developing facilities, training staff for undertaking consultancy. Continuation of 3.5.1. Now let us see SOP for these two. 3.5.1. So here, wherever finance is there, those should be reflected in the audit statement through consultancy and corporate training. Then the chartered accountant certified copy attested by the head of the institution, letter from the beneficiary of the consultancy or corporate training with the details. Then amount generated through consultancy or corporate training alone has to be considered. The revenue generated by testing services for use of facilities of the institution not to be included. Grants received for research projects not to be included. Consultancy fee from any sister institution or same trust not to be considered. Then total amount spent here also audit statement, CA certified copy. So training of teachers other than the consultancy or corporate training not to be considered here. So then coming to 3.6 extension activities. So first one 3.6.1, this is qualitative metric. We have to provide description with supporting document. Extension activities carried out in the neighborhood community, sensitizing students to social issues for their holistic development, impact for last 5 years. So write up impact of extension activities for every activity, what is the outcome and impact. Then students participated, number of students benefited, MOUs with any neighborhood community. If you can do any activity within the institutions, generally they won't consider here. So specifically they mentioned neighborhood community. By participating, your institute faculty students doing activities outside. So then 3.6.2, this is quantitative. Number of awards and recognitions for the above extension activities. This is quantitative. Last 5 years data you have to maintain. So let us see the 3.6.2 data template. So you have to maintain the data like this. Name of the activity, name of the award or recognition, name of the awarding government or government recognized body, year of award. So here some important points we have to remember. See the SOP for 3.6.2, e-copy of award letters, any supporting document in the relevance to the ministry. See awards to the institution, teachers, students for extension activities only considered. So awards claims in 3.1.2, that is for fellowship awards, are not included here. So these are all the SOPs. Here another important point, let us see. Award that are local in the nature not to be considered. For example, award from urban local bodies, panchayatis. Suppose if we can provide any award or recognition letter through panchayati letterhead or gram panchayati, that won't be considered here. Only government or government recognized agencies. Now 3.6.3. So this is also quantitative number of extension and outreach programs conducted through these bodies, NSS, NCC, Red Cross, YRC, etc. last 5 years, including government initiated programs such as Swachh Bharat, AIDS awareness, gender issues, etc. and organized in collaboration with industry, communities and NGOs. So 3.6.3, so we are having data template. 6.4 is that is student related. Both are combined here. Name of the activity, organizing under each unit. Name of the scheme, NSS or NCC or Red Cross, etc. Year of the activity, number of students participated in such activities. So 3.6.3, then 3.6.4, single template. Now go back and check the SOP for these two. So number of activities, geotagged photos and any other supporting document with proper caption and date. So detailed report for each extension activity. So that should be mentioned, the number of students participated and collaborating agents. So can be supplemented with the newspaper report events. The aspect of education which emphasizes neighborhood services. These are often integrated with curricula as extended opportunities, which helps serve, reflect and learn. The curriculum extension interfaces as educational values, especially in rural India. Then percentage of students participated, detailed report of each program extension made available with the number of students participating. Photographs or any supporting document relevant should have proper caption and dates. During DVV, they will ask some student documents, attendance and certificates for selected extension activities. Then 3.6. That is student participation already covered. Then 3.7 collaboration. 3.7.1, this is quantitative number of collaborative activities per year for research, faculty exchange, student exchange, internship, on the job training, project work, etc. So 3.7.1, let us see the data template. So here you need to maintain the data details like this. Title of the collaborative activity, name of the collaborating agency with the contact details, name of the participant, here names, every individual name you have to mention. Year of collaboration, the duration, nature of the activity, link to the relevant document. The supporting MOUs, the sanction letters, you should upload in the Kala website, that link needs to be provided. So 3.7.1, let us see the SOP. So copies of collaborations are related document indicating the nature of collaboration and activities year-wise. The HEI should provide the summary of the collaboration indicating start and end date, nature of collaboration. List of year-wise activities and exchanges should be provided. Then the collaboration should be valid for the assessment period. Collaboration activities of research, faculty exchange, etc. Through these collaborations only. Without collaboration, they won't consider. So activities mentioned under 3.6.3, 3.7.2, those won't be considered. So 3.6.3 means that is IPR entrepreneurship activities. Then 3.7.2, the next one, MOUs related. Collaborations with sister institutions under the same trust not to be considered. Then 3.7.2, this is also quantitative number of functional MOUs with national, international. This is a different one. So 3.7.2. So organization with which MOU is signed, name of the institution or industry or corporate house, year of signing MOU, duration, then link the actual activities under each MOU year-wise. So previous collaboration and these MOUs both are different. Maybe some repeated, but you can claim in any one place only. Now 3.7.2, here you can see list of activities conducted on each MOU, along with the date of the starting and completion year-wise, signed by both parties. E-copy of the MOUs with other institutions. Provide the summary of collaborations indicating start date, end date, nature of collaboration. Then list of year-wise activities and exchange should be provided. Then the MOU should be functional during the assessment period. Suppose if MOU is for 3 years, 11 to 13, it shall be counted only once. So at least one activity should have been conducted under each MOU during the assessment period to qualify as functional MOU. MOUs with the sister institution under the same trust not to be included. Another important point in MOUs, the MOU should be taken on 100 rupees stamp paper. So during DVVs, earlier we faced the MOUs which were not taken on stamp paper, those were rejected. So maximum you can try to take on 100 rupees stamp paper. Some organization, they will refuse to give 100 rupees stamp paper. If it is public sector, based on their restriction. But maximum we have to request the MOU on 100 rupees stamp paper.